Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to share a few of my thoughts from what I have learned and what I have done firsthand during my R&D at Shriram Institute for Industrial Research. So while the presentation comes up, I'd like to share a few points. Why hydrogen? Because it's a very sustainable fuel. I think among all the sustainable fuels, this is going to be the future of all sustainable fuels. And we have this net zero target uh, to decarbonize the industry, decarbonize as much as possible in the entire society. The target in terms of numbers is 80 gigatons of CO2 by 2050, a cumulative reduction in CO2 emissions. And hydrogen is one such fuel which can help in bringing down the carbon emissions to this much amount. But where do we really stand in terms of actual deployment? I think there are huge gaps. If we look at the actual deployment numbers in terms of the projects that are coming up and different R&D that's going on and actual products in the market, I think we are somewhere around 12 to 15 million tons of hydrogen can be produced by these efforts that are going on. But in order to achieve that 80 gigatons of CO2 emissions reduction by 2050, we need somewhere around 75 million tons. So there's a huge gap of around 60 million tons per annum of hydrogen needs to be produced still. So there's a long way to go, but somewhere we need to start, right? So before I jump into these thoughts, like I just want to dwell a little more on why hydrogen. It's like the best option in terms of a fuel because the highest energy content per mass compared to all other fuels, it has something around 120 megajoules per kg. And when we burn hydrogen, it's only water, water vapor that comes out in the emission. And so there's no carbon dioxide, there are no NOx and no CO2, carbon monoxide, nothing. But of course, when you burn hydrogen at very high temperatures, there is a possibility of NOx. So we need to take care of that. But that can be handled. It is renewable and sustainable in nature. Like we can generate from the renewable sources like solar power and biomass to hydrogen. That is one major route that India can adopt because we have a lot of biomass availability here. And there are different routes for hydrogen production that are already established. Now, why not solar power directly? You know, you can just generate the solar power and use it. But the problem with the renewable sources like solar, wind, these are intermittent in nature. Like solar energy is available during the day, but during the night it's not available. So in industries, we need a constant source of power. So we can generate hydrogen from the solar power, store the hydrogen, and then use it as a continuous source of supply. It's not just in the intermittency, but it also like helps us to generate hydrogen, store it, and use it at the point of need. So your generation can be at any place, and your point of utilization can be in a very remote area. So this storage of hydrogen enables us to use the fuel in different places. Now, there is a lot of work going on in the hard-to-abate industries like the cement, the railways, the steel, ammonia, etc. These are all hard-to-abate industries where decarbonization is a very difficult step. But people are working in this area, and there are certain countries which have moved to green steel, and there are talks going on even in India. There are Tata Steel has come up with green steel, and they're slowly trying to decarbonize the different processes in the steel industry. I think what is India doing in the hydrogen? There's a lot of activity, of course, and we have a prominent member from MNRE here, the National Green Hydrogen Mission in India, and a lot of R&D funding, even the industrial funding for the, like you can see the pilot projects, and I'm not going to read out everything for lack of time, but a huge amount of funding is going on into the pilot projects. And even the green hydrogen hubs. If you can see the MNRE website, there is a lot of information on what these different projects are and what kind of work is going on, what kind of funding support is available. And so we can make use of these funding opportunities. And I think more than ever before, in these times especially, there is a lot of support from the government to move into hydrogen. So I've just shown some of the uh, main points in the National Green Hydrogen Mission. I think it's available in the internet and also on the MNRE website. Let me just skip these slides. I want to just talk about major challenges. So, like I have already talked about, how do I go back? Like I've just mentioned, storage. Storage of hydrogen is something people try to run away from. It's very, dangerous. It can explode. So storing hydrogen has a mind block. So in one of the challenges in the widespread use of hydrogen, when we say hydrogen for all, everybody has to accept it. And I think one of the main factors is the fear factor, the safety aspect, where storing hydrogen also, like there is a fear that what if it explodes and things like that. So storage is important, and safe storage is also important, and there are different ways of storing hydrogen, where material-based storage is a very safe method. Like if the pressure increases, because of the increased pressure, the material will reabsorb hydrogen into itself, and so the pressure will automatically be reduced. But it's still in the research stage, it's still nascent, so a lot of R&D work is going on. But right now in the industry, it can handle high pressure cylinders, because we've been already using CNG and other gas cylinders at high pressure. So people are adopting high pressure cylinders, hydrogen cylinders, 750 bar, 500 bar, 350 bar, and recently even 200 bar cylinders are coming into the industry. So this high pressure hydrogen is being adopted at a fast rate. But then there are still challenges. These are the different ways of hydrogen storage. I'm not going to dwell on that. And there are different products available in the market, hydrogen storage systems, especially material-based systems, which are the safest systems, but yeah, they are still not yet widespread use. These are the challenges when it comes to hydrogen: the cylinder manufacturing, the safety standards, and the entire supply chain is not in place. Like there's a lot of work, of course, going on in testing standards and certification standards, but they are all like happening in pockets, and there's a long way to go. Like very recently, I was talking to one of the innovators. They have come up with a material for storing hydrogen at 500 bar. They need to manufacture the cylinder, but before that, they need to get it certified. They need to get it tested. So these testing centers are not available in India. They're not easily accessible. So we have to send them abroad and get it tested and certified. So it involves a huge cost. They're waiting for the funds. So this is like a, not a textbook problem. It's a real life situation. This is where, like, I think missing links in the innovation, entrepreneurship, and commercial, for the innovations to go to the commercial level, these are the missing links where things are not happening that fast, and we need to speed up this whole thing. So when we take a cylinder, there's a valve, there is a, like, especially there are, in order to reduce the weight, they are coming up with type 4 cylinders, which is a very lightweight carbon-based cylinder. But the valves and the fittings, they need to be metallic, and they need to be tested. So one can get into the manufacturing of these valves and fittings, but then the testing and certification, they have to be 100% hydrogen compatible. So these kind of things are not in place yet. These are the missing links where we need more people to work in, and more coordinated effort by people in the entire value chain. So coming from the R&D, I've just listed out some of the challenges I faced as an R&D lab, but I'm going to skip it now. Um, yeah, like I said, PISO and BIS, they are working on the standards, but there are a lot more standards that need to be developed and customized for India. It's a still work in progress. And there's always this chicken and egg dilemma. Industry, they don't want to produce in large scale because there's no demand. And the demand is not there because things are not yet in place. Like, I don't want to buy a hydrogen car because where will I fuel it? Where will I, use it? Things like that. So there's really a long way to go, but hydrogen holds a very strong potential. So I think if we want hydrogen to be all should be for hydrogen. It's not going to work in just one direction. So even we should start with the, of course, the hard to abate industry is the big things people are talking about, and they are of course working. But I think we should also focus on small innovations, and which will go a long way. A fully demonstrated project with a complete supply chain that it's working. And these hydrogen hubs are going to help in establishing this entire value chain by taking one product and ensuring that it sails successfully. So biomass to hydrogen, like I've already shared, is one thing that can come up a good way in India. And the acceptance by the public, in certain European countries especially, if a car is not green, in the sense it's not environmentally compatible, they don't want to buy that. I think some mindset like that has to come in India. It's like, how there's an recent ad for Thumbs Up. Pardon me for saying these kind of things, but I think the cool way to think, like how the young people want to think cool and be cool and act cool, this thing about environmental awareness, to make choices that are good for the environment, that needs to become a trend. Like, how you have to take biryani with one hand and Thumbs Up with the other. It's a cool way to advertise for this, and I think some innovation needs to be done in the advertising and things like that, so that the youth will be attracted towards adapting this kind of environmentally good and environmentally safe choices. And I also want to say another thing, like it starts from home. Like one example I would like to share, my daughter and I discuss about why we don't want to be in Delhi, and because it's so polluted, and so many speakers have already mentioned that. And I tried to challenge her. See, we are in Delhi, we are using a car, and that gives out emissions. That also adds to the pollution, so we are also adding to the pollution. So instead of blaming Delhi, I don't want to be in Delhi, why don't we think of making a change? Why don't we think of making a solution to reduce Delhi pollution? So she wants to come up with small innovations, and she comes up with ideas, and we keep discussing. And we started collecting the used batteries in our home. We want to keep it in a separate place and then dispose them in a safe way, so that we don't throw it in the garbage, which we give to the Kudawala every day. So I'm very happy to see that kind of awareness and consciousness in her. And her enthusiasm actually challenges me and inspires me to do something for reducing the Delhi pollution. And I think every one of us should take it as a challenge to give these thoughts and impart this kind of consciousness to the younger generation. Thank you so much.